What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? How's everyone feeling today? It is your girl, Melanie Charles.
And your co-host, Yunie Mo.
And as you know, you're listening to the Make Jazz Chill Again podcast. We are feeling good today, and we have an old pal here to chat with us. Yunie, I'll let you take over.
Yes, today we have a very special friend joining us who is an incredible musician, an incredible educator, an incredible tap dancer that I'm sure many of you are extremely familiar with. And if you're not familiar with, you're going to be incredibly amazed in the future when you go check her out and play. And ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary kings, queens, and royalty, give it up for Michela Lerman.
Hey! What's up, everybody? What's up? Yeah. I'm so happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Have you done any podcasts before, like a lot? Or I feel like this feels special. This feels like exclusive, like moment right now.
This is particularly special. This is because of just how long I've known both of y'all and our friendship. The other podcasts I've done are definitely nowhere near personal or, special to me. So this is awesome.
Oh, this is extremely special for us. And there's so much about you that is so unique. And you're such a unicorn. First of all, when you're a jazz musician, you are a unicorn, and you're a female jazz musician, you're a unicorn. But in particular for what you do, Michela, as a tap dancer and musician, you're a unicorn in jazz on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing to have seen you grow and flourish and just get better and better and better. Even when I first heard you play, I think it was probably at Fat Cat.
I think so.
Same on the wooden plank on the floor.
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
The only time I had ever experienced tap dancing was like I had taken tap classes when I was young for about 10 years. And the only person I've seen do it with a jazz ensemble, but not just like playing with alongside musicians, you were improvising on top of that. And a lot of what most people experience tap to be is like in a Broadway type setting, in that realm. And the closest thing I saw come to that would probably be Savion Glover. But even still, aside from that level, no one is doing it the way that you do. And I just want to give you all of the praise, all of the flowers. I hate when people say, I want to give you your flowers. It's like the trendy thing to say. But,
but it's true, though. So it's okay.
It's so true. And you and I have had a lot of conversations about just the challenges that come with you doing this in the way that you do, because you're extremely percussive. You listen to the music beyond what any other tap dancer has ever done. You've studied it. You've improvised. I've seen you do John Coltrane solos with your feet.
Bars.
Such bars.
Literal bars.
Yeah. It's been a journey, I appreciate so much what you said about the stacks and layers of unicornness and you know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it because it doesn't feel that magical all the time, you know, with those struggles of being those unicorns and trying to get people to understand um, every aspect of it. So I appreciate what you just said so much. It touched my heart so much. And thank you for the reminder of the magic.
I think something that, in addition to what Yunie has articulated, I've enjoyed watching your interaction with musicians and how you and I have never talked about this, but from the outside, it looks like you have a closeness with a lot of our jazz forefathers and foremothers, you know, in a way almost like a typical instrumentalist would be, but you don't think about that in terms of a movement, a person who does movement, having that connection with the musicians. I want to know about that. Like, I feel like you have probably such a well of knowledge of this Black American music. Like, what is something that like immediately stands out? Like, yeah, this is what my OG told me. I'll never
Well,
forget.
you know, it for me, it's always felt so like normal and natural, and I never really realized that my relationships with people or what I was doing was unique. Because it's you know, I grew up here in New York. I've been in this world. I started when I was 5. I started at a dance studio called Woodpeckers in the city that was an all tap dance studio. It was not a dance school. It was a tap dance place. It was like a mecca.
Why was it tap? What made you choose tap?
Oh, I chose tap because I saw Gregory Hines. And that is kind of like why I was on this trajectory. Being a musician, tap dancer, improvisational person, because I grew up seeing old classic Hollywood films, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, Nicholas Brothers, all that kind of stuff, and I loved it. But when I saw Gregory and what he was doing, it just like hit me like a bolt of lightning. You know, it's just like I was 5. You know, it's not like I really knew anything that was going on. I was just so like struck by it, and I was like, I have to do this. I have to meet him. I have to find him. Wow. This is really it for me. And finding Woodpeckers Tap Studio was incredible because it was where he practiced a lot. And it was where a lot of the master tap dancers practiced. And because it was this tap school, it was already rooted in this connection between jazz and tap dance, or Black American music and tap dance. And so my awareness and my connection to the music was kind of immediate. So then, you know, I grew up with my mentors. I was mentored by a lot of the old master hoofers, tap dancers, Buster Brown, Jimmy Slide, Leroy Myers. These are all very familiar names to tap dancers. These are like the Miles and the Coltrane's of tap. And you know, they were mentoring me, and they were bringing me to all these clubs all around the city, particularly in Harlem. You know, so I grew up going to these clubs, 11 years old, like sitting in, jamming with, learning how to interact with a band, learning how to take a solo, improvise. That was just my training. So it's very different than what a lot of other dancers were experiencing in their educational journey, you know, of learning how to tap.
Right. That's what I was going to say is like when you think of it, like tap dancing is so different from any other style because it kind of is a mixture of street dance in the sense of like how it's like a group and then it's like, all right, now you say what you got to say and you take a solo.
Mm-hmm.
Like a regular ballerina, like there is choreography already set and
Mm-hmm.
you know, you hit that's amazing as well. Don't get me wrong. But like to have like the improvisation element and then like also knowing form, like you know forms like any like bassist, pianist, drummer, like you know the form. And I know in dance, like you count like there's like a lot of 8 bars.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I used to dance too, and like I loved it, but. Oh, child, respect to you, the professionals. But like when it's tap and what specifically within a jazz or Black American setting, the counts are different, right?
Everything is different. The approach is different. The spirit of it is different. You know, it's very hard. Tap has always lived in this kind of nexus, crossroads of like, you know, there's lots of debate. Is it Irish and African? Is it just African? Is it this? Is it that? And it's like, you know, when you get down to the root of it and you get down to the nitty gritty of it, you know, all those things, all those counting, all those polyrhythms, all those things. There are trajectories. You know, if you look at Broadway, you can see that has been more influenced by maybe the Irish side of things. But then when you go to jazz, tap dancing, improvisational tap dancing, you see that this is really rooted in an African tradition. It's rooted in call and response. It's rooted in all those things. And it's, you know, tap is so diverse, and those questions of origin and stuff is really like, you know, just like in jazz, there's lots of different genres of jazz. You know, you don't just say jazz and, you know, and everybody knows you're talking about Robert Glasper or Louis Armstrong. No one knows what you're talking about. You say jazz and it's like, what does that even mean? It's the same within tap dance. And, you know, so you really have to look at the genre of tap dance even that you are practicing and studying and looking at, and you have to take that into account in your approach when you're learning as well. You know, you can't take the same mindset from a musical theater tap dance class and then try to go sit in at St. Nick's pub at 1 a.m.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
not gonna work.
Oh my gosh, St. Nick's pub. All right, please.
Closed.
That was such a historic place. Oh my gosh. Like I feel like I have flashbacks of you tap performing. Okay, do you have a preferred way that people articulate the art that you do? Like, is it tap? Is it dance? Is it what feels right?
That's a great question. One which I've never really had the luxury of defining. You know, so it's kind of the first time anybody's ever really asked me that question. You know, I think it depends on the day or the setting that I'm in. I feel like tap dancer is always appropriate, you know, but
cool.
If you get into it, you call somebody a hoofer, that's when you start like, again, going back to understanding those genres of of where somebody is in their journey and in their practice of being a tap dancer.
When would you say hoofer?
Yeah.
When would you say hoofer? I would consider myself a hoofer. I would consider someone like Savion a hoofer. You know, those are people who have adopted tap dance as a lifestyle, as a way of being, as a they're taking into account all those foundational things we were just, you know, speaking about, the roots of it, the call and response. You know, it's a spiritual, it's like a practice, it's like a real,
Mm-hmm.
it's rooted in your spirit. It's not your, your job.
Where does that word come from?
Hoofer? People are probably gonna have all kinds of things to say to me that I don't know how to define this right now, but it's the hoof. It's the hoof of your foot. It has to do with that, and it's really interesting, actually, to talk about that, because the hoof, the horse, the sound of the horse and the hoof. I've been doing a lot of deep diving into percussion and percussive dance from around the world. And there's Nawa music from Morocco and North Africa. There's flamenco music. There's very similar stuff called tarantella from southern Italy and Sicily. All having to do with the sound of horses' hooves on the cobblestones. So that is really the idea of where hoofing comes from, is the sound of the hooves, the metal on the ground. So and then other people also, there's the people sometimes don't know whether to say, you played well, or you danced well, or you tapped well.
Right. Yeah. What do you prefer?
I like play. I think that's where I'm at in my mind.
Wow. This is so interesting.
I love it. How do you
yeah?
It's so when you bring up, now that we're on the subject of hoofing and the sound of the horse's horseshoe on the pavement or the cobblestones, you sparked something in my mind when it comes to as a musician, we think about our sound in general. As a saxophonist, I'm like, oh, long tones. I want my sound to be darker, or I want it to be brighter, or I want it to. That's a big thing in our practice. When it comes to your sound, how do you develop that? And what is your preferred sound? What are you going for with that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. It can start with the tools that we use, so the shoes and the floor. There are modifications you can make to your shoes to change the pitches or the sound you get out of them. You can build the soles of the shoe thicker or thinner to get a different sound. You can add there's all kinds of little things you can add. There are these taps called jingle taps. Not many people use them, but they're almost think of a tambourine or something. It's loose rivets, There's jingly kind of sounds you can get out of them. So you kind of start there with your shoes, and then the floor is kind of the next place. And after running around for many years, I in the past 10 to 15 years of what I've been doing, I have to bring my own floor now. I can't rely on whatever they're gonna provide, because it completely changes your sound. I mean, it's you got it's when you show up to a gig of pianists, there's a good piano and a bad piano, pianos out of tune. It's the same thing.
Oh my gosh. You know what's so crazy? Because I feel like I've always, like I said, I always seen you with that I call it the wooden plank. Lay that down. And also there's this, I don't know if you know him, Calvin Booker.
He's also, we grew up.
I feel like he's a hoofer, right?
Yeah. And he and I grew up together. We grew up around a lot of these same people.
Wow.
Yeah, we dance together a
So
lot.
I've seen you guys carry around this thing, and I always just thought it's because, like, wherever club it is, they'd be mad at you for like messing up the floor. So you guys just bring that to like protect the floor.
That's
I didn't realize. Okay, I didn't realize it affected the sound though.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
It
yeah,
definitely affects the sound.
I've been seeing you also have bringing in the elements of what is it called? What's the proper term? Triggers, not
yeah, like electronic kind of sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that serves kind of like its own instrument. That's its own instrument. And it's kind of like a giant MPC, basically. It's like I have my wooden pads that I tap to get different sounds.
Ooh, I would love to see that in action.
Yeah. You know, I've never really. I want to dedicate so much more time to that.
I know once you start bringing in the electronic instruments, it's a whole
That's how it is.
It's a whole other thing.
It's another instrument.
It's also a whole other thing technique-wise. You know, you have to dance very differently because now there are notes and you have to know where they are, and it's a really intricate kind of process with the electronics. So I hope one of these days this chunk of time comes where I could just really sit with it and like explore. But
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because what you do is so like one of a kind, like a band leader or a band may not know like how to interact with what you do. Like, how does it happen for you to even align with a band to perform or do the myriads of ways in which you present your art? Like, I know now at this point you're in the community, so people know if they're reaching out to you, they know why they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like, am I making sense? Like, how does that work for what you do?
How do people approach incorporating me in their stuff?
Yes, like I feel like whenever I've seen you, okay, let me put it this way. It's always been in a way that is very intentional, that your art is part of this moment, this performance, right? But it's such a rarity that I guess I'm saying it kind of feels like when there's a harp. Like, we don't always see harp, but there are moments where harp is part of the texture. And I know that it takes a lot for that to even, for us to even be able to experience the harp in this space. And for you to like join with the band in the ways that you do, it's like, okay, so like rehearsals, like
how does one
usually
conceptualize adding this element to a band is, because it's not necessarily.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. You know, every situation has been different. And you know, sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I have to be very, very humble, you know, and just let the band leader use me as a tool, you know, and fit into what they want me to do. And maybe it's not exactly how I would do it, but I gotta, you know, work with them. But that humility in that moment has also taught me so much, you know, because maybe that band leader is now showing me a new way I could do something. So it's really, I have to be very patient a lot of the time, especially at the beginning of my career. You know, I had to be very like, okay, I know, like, one, I'm a woman, and then two, like I'm doing this thing that is very different than all the other instrumentalists up here. So I have to just kind of like get in where I fit in.
Right.
And then, through time I learned, and someone who really helped me kind of pull that together was Roy Hargrove. Because I was sitting in at all those sessions. This is even before I was like had my own session at Fat Cat. It was just like when I was just sitting in at them, like 17 or 18 or whatever. He would be around, and I would go to these sessions with a really good friend of mine, another tap dancer named Joseph Wiggin. And we would go to all the sessions, Smalls, Fat Cat, Zinc. We just bop around, till like 6 a.m., And, after a while, Roy was like, come over here. He's like, wait till everybody solos, and then right before the drummer solos, you solo. And once he told me that, it like unlocked a world for me. And now I was able to sit in at these sessions. I knew what to do, and I was doing it in a way that was acceptable to all the other musicians there. I wasn't.
Shout
out to Roy. Oh my God.
Shout out to Roy.
Jam session as a jam session leader, teaching us so much.
Yeah, he always taught so much.
To say.
Oh my gosh.
He knew how to make everybody sound good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. And be their best selves.
Yep.
But it's also like a testament to you because you're an artist. That's the other thing. Because there are people who are incredible like saxophone players, and they play, they're musicians, they're practitioners. But not everybody is an artist. And in order to be an artist, it's a personal journey. And like what you've described, like most tap dancers go to tap school and take tap lessons, and they're going there and choreography. Yeah. But part of your education was like the university of the streets and knowing how to interact in real time.
Amen.
With what's really happening.
That's it. That is exactly what it was like growing up. I did, and I'm not saying I didn't go to lessons. I did take tap lessons, but what I really learned and applied was everything I learned, like you said, in the street or in the club or, in the moment, directly from the people in the moment. It was the most unique experience, and I'm very, very blessed and lucky to have had that experience. So yeah.
Can you recently put together, well, you did this in 2 instances, and we've talked about this before. You took Betty Carter's book, and then you took Abby Lincoln's book and brought the element of tap into their music. And in the most like amazing chef's kiss way. And you've also brought in so many of the elders and the people that have been part of that legacy. Like Mark Carey is one of them, right?
Mark didn't do.
Mark didn't do it.
Yeah.
No, Jeff Tate was.
Jeff Tate was. Oh, you're thinking about the Betty time.
I'm thinking about actually both. You had the Betty time. You had Renard. You had Curtis Lundy.
Yeah.
You had
oh wow.
Jackie Terrison.
Yeah. I fell into that one. I didn't book that back.
However, this time around, you had
This time around, I had Tane and Charnay.
And you guys were doing the music of Abby?
It was Max Roach. This is all Yunie.
It was a Freedom
magical conceptualization. It was all Yunie. I'm not gonna take credit for it. The Betty Carter thing was out of my mind, but this was all Yunie. We insist.
Yes, the Freedom Now Suite. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are you saying, so for those of us who did not have the luck to experience that, what did it consist of? Like, were you like doing, like, how did you reinterpret it for tap?
Yeah, well, I mean, just the way I would do it any other gig, it's just like, this is the music that we're going to do. And I choreograph some stuff to it. And when I choreograph, I try to leave a lot of space for the other dancers to express themselves, and I try to find other dancers that are strong improvisers and can, I'll just call shit out to them. Can I cuss? I just call them out to them. In the moment, on the floor.
So you had a couple of dancers for this one?
I had two other dancers with me. One was named Roxanne King and one was named Orlando Hernandez. It's really hard to explain my process because it's so organic. It's just like, I just listen to the music, and I try to, I choreograph how it's supposed to sound first, and then I stage it.
So is your choreography playing like the melodies that Abby was singing? Was the pianist playing the melodies, or are you playing the melodies?
No, pianist was playing the melodies. Rather, Charnay was really singing most of the melodies.
Charnay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's happening. All that's kind of happening in a quote unquote normal kind of way. The music is happening, and what I'm doing is I'm adding another layer to it that supports it or floats above it a little bit, almost like an oil and water situation. It's a contrast to it. I'm trying to create textures and different sounds for each particular song that are appropriate. So it's really
and is there anyone that's like laying out in that?
At times it just depends, like like in All Africa in the Freedom Now Suite, the whole band laid out, and it was just tap and Tane for
fire.
Wow.
Like,
dope.
8 minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, that's like perfect.
Yeah.
Like you and Tane were going back and forth.
Yeah, I choreographed some stuff. I choreographed
that, right?
Yeah, that was like.
Oh wait, hold on! I got another idea. Melanie doing All Africa like you usually do, and then you, Michela, y'all got to do that together.
Yeah,
that would be
y'all gotta do
so
that
fire.
Duo.
That would be amazing.
I would love that because I love doing it duo with like drums, but to do that duo with tap, let's try to make that happen. Let's try to make that happen.
I would love
I think
that.
I feel that's why I'm asking these specific questions, because like I really want to understand like how it works and how you desire for it to work too. Because like I feel like sometimes people might call someone in to play and like they don't have in mind also like what the person that they're calling to play might want to offer, and like how's the best way they can do that. And what makes sense, I feel like today my words aren't coming out right.
Oh, you make sense.
That made total sense. And that goes back to kind of what I was saying before, kind of evolving into this new role of owning that space to sort of like I had to, even still, but it's better now. That humility thing of having to, wait for that learning curve to happen. Every new band I step into, do they get my function? Do they, how can I do, because then also you don't know if a band leader is going to get funny or jealous that you're taking attention away because you're dancing. So it's like all these little.
Have you encountered that?
Oh yeah, of course.
What?
Of course.
I'm not surprised. That makes sense.
I'm surprised because like I feel like isn't that the purpose? Isn't that like why we want you in there? Is because you're doing something that's so amazing. We want people to experience that. I'm confused.
People are crazy. People are just crazy, and they don't know. They don't expect that I know what I'm doing. They don't know I'm gonna be able to solo that way. There's lots of variables. There's lots of variables, and I have to approach every situation, even still, with the anything good that happens is a bonus.
Wow.
I have to almost step in there in worst case scenario mindset.
Yep.
Always. Like
I've seen you experience that with older musicians, like veterans, and I've seen you navigate it with people that aren't well known. So like I hear you, because I've been on the sideline being like, oh my gosh, this is getting a little dicey.
Yeah, you just never know how somebody's gonna react to it, and then and then on top of it, the style that you're doing, like me as a woman, I have had to fight for years, like in the dance community, and then a little bit outside when people. I don't dance like a lady, like I go hard. I hoof, I get in there, and especially as a young person, oh my God, that was like the most offensive thing to everyone. Why don't you smile? Why don't you use your arms? Why don't you dress like this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It's like, because I want to dance like one of the guys. But I still want to be me. And it just, there's a lot of variables like that still. So that's also at play on the bandstand as well. Is like, you just never know how somebody's going to react. And this all sounds very negative. I've had so many beautiful, amazing, positive, incredible experiences as well. So I don't want to only.
It doesn't sound negative. No, it doesn't sound negative at all.
Yeah, it's real.
I mean,
it's real.
Yeah. I mean, even for me in singing, like whenever I'm being called in for a band that I don't usually sing with, like it always is like a worst case scenario, there's never enough rehearsal, the sound check is always kind of funny, like that's the real talk. It's like, there's one thing about our creativity, our skill, our preparedness internally, but like once we hit that stage, it is kind of like a survival moment.
Absolutely.
You don't know what's gonna happen.
You don't know.
But that's the beauty of it. And
yep,
that's it.
Yeah,
beauty.
Yeah, that's it.
So I feel like we could like go on and on for hours about this because it's like the more you're telling us, the more like I'm like, oh, like it's like explaining things that I've seen you do and other tap dancers do in the past. Cause like I know we probably should be going to Trill Trivia, but just one thing you talked about the hands, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that's true. Like there's a specific like genre of tap dancing that I feel like it's all like ba 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 ba. You know, it's like all these tricks and all, and I feel like when you what you do, it's like you're like talking with your feet, and it's like very intentional what you're saying. It's not about all those other things.
Mm-hmm.
You put that in there when you want to, but like that's
Exactly.
not your main intention.
Yeah.
And are you saying that was, it's because, why is that the mode in which you want? 'Cause I know one thing you mentioned is because, you know, you want to be like one of the boys. You wasn't trying to be like a feminine tap dancer, but there's more to it than like boys and feminine or whatever. What else is informed how you decided to focus on
the music? It was just, how can I move my body to get this sound? I don't care what I look like. I want to reach this sound. That more than any of the gender stuff or any of the other stuff was the focus for me. Was like, I want to hit this step. I want it to sound like this. I wanted to hit this beat. I wanted to go over this bar. I wanted to do this. And yeah, you know, and that also goes back to some of the cultural mix up influences. Is tap this, is tap that, is it African, is it Irish, is it this, is it that? It's imposed upon the tap dancers sometimes to embody this Eurocentric posture and very ballet influenced posture and body stylings and movement, and it's not necessarily what's natural to the style of tap dancing that's being performed, or the genre of tap dancing that is being performed. I'm not going to present my upper body in a European way if what I'm doing down below is influenced by Africa. I'm gonna, you know, focus my attention where I want it to be focused. So it's that is a part of it that is not often talked about, and so it's about swimming through all of that and just, you know, finding your voice. And you know, I don't know how it happened for me, but I was just so lucky and so blessed to have the particular mentors that I had in Gregory Hines and Buster Brown, who, while all these other tap dancers were telling me how to be, and I'd go to them and I'd, you know, be crying or like so confused, like I don't know how I'm supposed to look when I dance. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It constantly just tell me to be myself. And follow my own voice. And you know, when there's like 500 people telling you how to be, but Gregory Hines is telling you be yourself, it gives you a license that you know, is just so powerful. And like and you know, you think of all the dynamics at play. You know, I was a girl, he's a man. Didn't matter. It was be you. And it's just so important to always stay true to yourself, because you'll never be able to sustain anything else if you're not. You'll be miserable. You'll be bitter. You'll be this. You'll be that. You know, you can fake it. You can fake it your whole life, but something's gonna fester inside of you. So it's better to just be true to who you are, like from the get go, and push through the mud of everything, because you'll reach it just like everybody else, and you'll maintain your spirit and your soul and why you started doing it in the first place.
Ooh, I needed to hear that.
I needed to hear that too.
I know, everybody
Thank
else.
you. Damn, you better speak.
Wow. Oh man.
Wow. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Thank you. Thank you.
I think everyone's taking all that in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all the artists that are listening are going to really appreciate that, whatever medium of art they do. So, yeah.
Universal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have set the tone for a lot of what I've been seeing happening. Like, I've been kind of dipping my toes a little bit into the dance world and just kind of observe. Right now, I'm in observation mode.
Oh yeah, we spoke a little bit about it. Yes.
Observing the dance world because it's so new to me. But there's a lot of history that's there in terms of different companies and contemporary, traditional, European, those types of things. And I've noticed that some tap dance companies have been incorporating more music and instrumentalists into their projects. And I feel like a lot of that is because of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said it, but
I really do.
I ponder sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
But they don't do it like you. Because it takes whole practice. And no tea, no shade to what other dance companies are doing and this, that, and the other and what they've done. But I feel like it's a testament to, if they haven't taken note before in incorporating musicians, they'll quickly find out. Come soon. That the next time around that they see you and hear you and see what you're doing, there's going to be a greater appreciation and a greater respect.
Yeah.
That is there. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
I love that.
And I wanted to say it on the record.
I love you.
I love that. I think we should move on to Troll Trivia, but what you just said, Yunie, just also made me think of something else, because it's like what you do is so specific, and you've really curated and created almost like they're like Catherine Dunham, you know what I mean? There's like the Michela Lerman school. Is that something that you plan on doing, like teaching your method to like the next generation?
Well, that's a great question. I have a bunch of things to say about that, and related to what you just said, and it's connected to Catherine Dunham, because she went and studied in Haiti, she went to the places. She participated in the rituals. She did that,
Mm.
and it's equivalent to the experience I have had. I lived what I learned. I didn't learn it. I lived it. And it's very hard to pass that along, but the thing to pass along to a student is, one, what I was saying before, that you have to be true to yourself, and then two, you have to live it. You have to live the experiences. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have definitely noticed a distinct change in the music that's created now by many people, because there is so much more institutional education for the music. So you're learning in these very curated, safe spaces, and and most of that is fantastic. But there's just another level of experience that you get when you're in the field, at the jazz club, living it, getting your ass kicked, getting cussed out by somebody, you get your solo cut off, something. You gotta go through the shit to find yourself to a certain extent. So I hope that there's more balance of that in the future. But as far as like me teaching, I would love to do that. And a huge issue is that there's very, very next to zero. I know I just kind of dogged it a little bit, but there's no institutional tap dance education. There is very, very little, I should say, college level, university level tap anywhere.
Okay.
When you go to a dance program, if you go to Juilliard for dance, that you are not going to be a tap dancer. You are going to be a ballerina. You're going to be a contemporary dancer. You're not. It's not offered. Or it's an adjunct class. It's a club that students have organized. So that is really my hope, to get it into a program at a Juilliard or an NYU or something like that, to really, legitimize tap as an art form, and to get it into schools that have strong music and jazz programs as well, because it really needs to be this hybrid between the dance departments and the jazz departments. This hybrid education of the two.
It's so interesting. You don't see, when I was in school, there was a really great dance program where I went, but the dancers didn't really interact with musicians. But that was not necessarily the case when you go back to like the 70s, the 80s, or the 50s or the 60s, in the streets, that everybody was moving and shaking and creating together.
That's true. That's true.
There's always this missing piece that happens in these institutions. That it's always separate. Everyone is separated.
Everyone is separated.
Zero collaboration that's going on. I guess it's really now it's on our generation to make these changes, to have more collaboration, to create, to basically dismantle but rebuild these programs for students. And and
really be in full support of like interdisciplinary artists.
Yeah.
It's like,
one path, one blueprint. Like, what is that?
Fuck genre segregation. Like, it's you're an artist. You know what I mean? Like, a painter is not just inspired by paint. A painter is inspired by the worlds. You know what I mean? And they paint the world. You know, it's not just looking at blue and orange and saying, okay, now I'm gonna make a painting. You know, it's like
you have to live it to create.
You have to live it. You have to live it. You have to experience it. You have to connect with other artists. You know, you need to read books. You know, you need to do all that kind of stuff to create the full picture. You know?
Yeah. Oh.
You're saying some stuff. I'm like, let me write that down.
I would love to see in the future the Michela Lerman Love Movement
Foundation
dance company.
Yeah. Well, we're a group. I don't. You know, we did the Joyce Theater and we were a dance company there, and then when we did Newport, we were a band. You know what I mean? So Love Movement is just love movement. It's just a movement.
Yes. Well, I do gotta say, all of our guests experience a couple of questions or trivia, as we like to call it.
Okay.
Get to our portion of the end of our shit. So, some people get nervous, some people are excited, some people like these kinds of things, but needless to say, nonetheless, we force everyone to do it. So guess what? It's that time again. It's
all right. Okay. Oh boy.
All right.
Okay. So today's trivia question. The first question is, who is your jazz Beyonce?
My jazz Beyonce. Alive? Do they have to be alive?
Dead or alive?
Dead or
right?
alive.
Dead or alive.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm so bad at this stuff. I'll sit here for an hour thinking about this. I'm stumped.
There's no right or wrong answer.
I'm just stumped because it's like their singing is Beyonce, but their dancing is not. But then this person's stage presence and so many thoughts.
What's your sign, Michela?
I'm a Gemini.
Oh, okay. So, that's why you have a hard time answering this. So many.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And it could be male or female. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
God. Well, in terms of like influence changing the game, these are going to be kind of random, but like I would say like, oh God, I don't know how to answer this question. Next question.
Well, you were going to say somebody, so who was that?
Well, I would say like,
it doesn't have to be like don't think too literal of Beyonce. Just like who can do no wrong. So like for me, I said Nancy Wilson. Like for me, like it's just like okay.
For me,
like,
it's Jackie McLean. Like
I was gonna say Monk. I was honestly gonna say Monk a while ago.
Ooh,
I was gonna
I
say
love
Monk.
that. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's
And
Monkey?
I held it back, and then I was like, and then I thought of Carmen McRae actually. Just
I like both.
Yeah.
the sultriness, you know, like just
Yeah.
the beauty. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
This question always brings out so much in people.
It does. It's very
Yeah.
revealing. Now I know so much more about you. That you chose Monk. I'm like, oh, okay.
Who was playing like that before?
Nobody, right? And nobody since.
Yeah,
Individually.
yeah.
Totally, and changed the game.
Changed it. It just was just that was that.
Different.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Okay.
In 1962, Sonny Rollins released one of his most notable records, The Bridge.
Mhm.
What bridge did Sonny Rollins practice on that famously attributed this record? Was it A, the Brooklyn Bridge, B, the George Washington Bridge, C, the Williamsburg Bridge, or D, the Golden Gate Bridge?
It was either the Brooklyn or Manhattan Bridge. Or Williamsburg Bridge. Is it the Brooklyn Bridge? Williamsburg. Yeah, Williamsburg.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Nice.
That's a little fun.
The Williamsburg Bridge is beautiful. I love that bridge.
What New York bridge is not iconic?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They all
Right?
are.
Yeah. But Brooklyn Bridge is like
Brooklyn is
That's
special.
the one
Yeah.
everybody thinks.
yeah, because it's it's the stone, the stone towers.
Yeah.
There's no way he could climb up on top of that. Oh, he climbed up on there with his saxophone. I can't. All right, Sonny. Next question. What song or track did De La Soul sample for the song Stakes is High? Is it A, Swahili Land by Ahmad Jamal, B, Firewater by Joe Henderson, C, Gemini by Jimmy Heath, or D, none of the above?
I think it was A. I'm proud of myself for that one. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, last question. What song or track did Pete Rock sample for Nas's The World Is Yours? Is it A, Round Midnight by Thelonious Monk, B, I Love Music by Ahmad Jamal, C, Un Poco Loco by Bud Powell, or D, none of the above?
B.
Hey! That's my little Ahmad Jamal tribute.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful, Yunie.
We love you, Ahmad Jamal, and we miss you.
We love Ahmad Jamal.
Yeah, rest in power. Wow. This was a really beautiful conversation.
This was amazing.
Yeah, I feel like very inspired.
Me too. And I learned a lot too. And I hope y'all did learn a lot. Taking a peek into your world, Michela, that is so different than just like as a horn player or a pianist, but like it's also different to like the traditional path of said dancer. So thank you for sharing all of that, and I hope that we've brought you more fans and people to come and check you out on your. What are you doing this summer?
This summer, I am actually gonna be doing a residency working on the show I created for the Joyce. fixing it. I'm buttering it up. I'm cooking it up.
Beautiful.
So that's
nice.
Yeah, I'll be there.
So,
And before that, is there any opportunities for us to see you do your hoofing?
I will be hoofing. I will be hoofing May 19th at the Downtown Jamaica Jazz Festival.
Beautiful.
Just curated by Rio from the Jazz Gallery. And I'll be opening for Ravi Coltrane.
Oh,
there.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. May 19th.
May 19th.
Check it out.
I think it's called the JCAL, JCAL Jazz Fest. And then I have something for National Tap Dance Day. So National Tap Dance Day is May 25th, everybody. And it is actually a national holiday that was established in 1989 by Gregory Hines. And yeah, and we're gonna have an event at the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. So those are the two main things coming up.
Yes. All right. March 19th and March 25th is cool.
Yep. Beautiful.
Thank you, y'all. Make sure y'all tap in. Oh, tap in. Yes. And we have this little like sign off that we do. Like, I'll say whatever you do, and then Yunie says, remember to, and then together we say, make jazz chill again.
Okay.
You down?
I'm down.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for checking in to the Make Jazz Chill Again podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Melanie Charles.
And your co-host, Yunie Mel.
Thank you to our special guest, Michela Lerman. And signing off, whatever you do,
remember to
make jazz chill again.
Yeah.